Today, I'm building the ultimate character in the sports anime world. Someone who could dominate any sport they play and go toe-to-toe with the strongest athletes from any universe. We're building this top-tier athlete piece by piece using the best traits from different anime series. But here's the twist. We're limited to just 3 sports, and each one can only pull from one specific anime. Our choices? Football represented by Blue Lock, basketball represented by Kuroko no Basket, and volleyball represented by Haiku. Oh, and no character can be used more than once. Sounds easy? Not even close! Because choosing between Izagi's IQ, Aomene's handles, and Hinata's reflexes might just break your brain. Let's get into it, starting with football, where all of our traits come straight from Blue Lock. Our 5 key traits are shooting, passing, dribbling, ball control, and flow state. Starting off with our shooting traits. For this one, we got some good options to choose from. First will be Michael Kaiser, the Blue Rose from Blue Lock. Kaiser is known for being one of the top strikers in the entire Neo Aegis League. His signature move, the Kaiser Impact, is one of the most powerful shots in the entire verse. A powerful and accurate strike that combines perfect timing and his special awareness, almost impossible for any defense to block. As Noel Noah said during the match between Bastard Munchen and Barcho, Kaiser's shot is unmatched in terms of speed, surpassing even the #1 striker in that regard. Not only that, but he would later on evolve this technique into the Kaiser Impact Magnus, a version of the same rapid shot that adds an unpredictable curve almost impossible for any goalkeeper to save. This pair of shooting techniques allows him to stand in the same level as Blue Lock's best strikers when it comes to the shooting traits. Next up will be the King Shoeibaro. Uber's ace striker also possesses one of the best shooting techniques in the entire verse. Baru specializes in explosive, high-powered strikes that are extremely difficult to stop. One of his best techniques is his powerful and super accurate long shots, becoming a big threat to any goalkeeper if he finds himself within 29 meters of the goal. Not only that, but he was also able to develop Predator Eye, an ability used by Prodigy strikers that allows the player to ultra-focus on one simple thing. This, paired with his shooting ability and techniques, makes him a fearful striker and one of the biggest threats in all of Blue Lock. But besides that, I think we might have someone better suited for this trait. Last but not least, we got Itoshi Rin. Still Blue Lock's #1, the genius is known for his pinpoint shooting accuracy as well as his ability to be able to score from any place on a football field. As you can see from his goal against Japan's U20 team, where Japan's best defender, Oliver Aiku, is able to pressure Rin when the genius pulls an unthinkable technique and scores a Trivela goal on the biggest stage. Not only that, but he's also capable of scoring from a corner kick, long distances, as well as when a player is crashing into him, as we could see when Izagi purposely crashes into Rin, and even that didn't faze the genius. With that being said, I got something better saved up for this genius. And so, for the shooting traits, I'm gonna pick the prodigy Michael Kaiser. Next up, we got the passing trait. For this one, there's 2 interesting characters we can choose from. First will be Charles Chevalier, arguably the best passer in the entire Neo Aegis League. Charles is characterized as a contrarian, someone who deliberately does the opposite of normal expectations. This leads him to execute risky, unpredictable passes that often catch opponents off guard. As you can see during the match against Bastard Munchen, Charles delivered a spontaneous pass to Shiro Ryusei that not even Izagi could predict, resulting in a goal for the PXG side. Thanks to his metavision as well as his high-speed passing techniques, he becomes a formidable playmaker in the Blue Lock verse. But is he better than our second option? Let's see. The other option is none other than the genius Itoshi Sai. Sai's passing trait is characterized by a combination of technical skill, vision, and strategic thinking, making him probably the best playmaker on the football field. Thanks to being one of the smartest characters in the entire verse, as well as his metavision abilities, there's no pass that Sai can achieve in a game. As you can see in the match between Blue Lock and Japan's U20 team, Sai's playmaking ability was enough to tilt the game in Japan's favor, almost crushing the spirits of the Blue Lock players. Now imagine what he could do with a striker even better than Shiro. Or what about a striker just as smart as himself? There will be no limit to this duo. And so, since we want our character to have the best traits in the show, for our passing traits, I'm gonna go with Itoshi Sai. Now it's time for the dribbling traits. When we talk about football dribbling, there's two characters we need to consider. First is the monster himself, Meguru Bachira. Bachira is considered to be one of the best dribblers in all of Blue Lock, and by far the best skiller in the entire project. Guided by his inner monster, he excels in 1v1 situations, using his quick footwork, fluid movement, and street-like flair to break defenders. Bachira's dribbling style is known for being super unpredictable, instinctive, and providing some highly creative plays that no defense manages to stop. As you can see from the match between Blue Lock and Japan's U20 team, where Bachira managed to dribble the entire team, overwhelming any top defender in the way. He's by far one of the strongest suitors for our dribbling traits. But before picking our player, let's see what number 2 has to offer. The second character is none other than the one-on-one emperor, Kenyu Yukimiya. A previous Blue Lock top player and one of the most unique characters in the show, Yukimiya is known for being the best one-on-one player in Japan. Unlike the wild, creative style of someone like Bachira, Yukimiya's dribbling is calculated and efficient, focusing on creating space and breaking through defenses with sharp, purposeful movements. That said, besides being at the top of the list when it comes to dribbling abilities, there's no denying that Bachira is just a level above. And so, for the dribbling traits, I'm gonna go with Meguru Bachira. Down to our last two traits for football. We've talked about shooting, passing, and dribbling. It's now time for ball control. And really, is there even a debate? There's only one name that makes sense, and that is Seishiro Nagi, the Blue Lock genius. Or should I say, former genius? Nagi's most overwhelming skill is his perfect ball control, helping him be one of the most talented players in the entire verse, despite his laziness and indifferent attitude. He excels at receiving and trapping even the most difficult passes with ease, turning them into immediate scoring opportunities. Not only that, but his impressive ball control makes him one of the most unpredictable strikers on the field. Pair that with his genius-like skills, and you have the biggest nightmare for any defender, with a player capable of making plays that seem impossible with minimal movement or effort. And so, there's no way we're gonna pass this up, which means for ball control, I'm gonna go with the genius Seishiro Nagi. Let's be honest, that one was pretty easy. Down to our last trait on the football sport. It's time for flow state. We're not only gonna incorporate one's flow state, but also their special abilities, such as Metavision and Predator Eye. First candidate is going to be Blue Lock's number 1, Itoshi Rin. Rin possesses arguably the most dangerous flow state in the entire Blue Lock project. With his destructive flow state, he aims to embarrass his opponents, provoking them into using their strongest abilities so he can overpower and make them feel despair. He goes on to solely devour Japan's defense, completely defeating them at their peak, including Japan's greatest defender, Oliver Aiku. Not only that, but Rin also possesses one of Blue Lock's top abilities in Predator Eye, an ability that allows you to become the predator and narrowing your focus to perfectly pinpoint the moment to score. With his flow state and Predator Eye, Itoshi Rin might just be the perfect choice for our strongest character. But wait until you see this next one. Next up is going to be the other Blue Lock's number 1, Izagi Oichi, and his flow state and Metavision. In flow, Izagi sees the game like a moving puzzle, using everyone on the field like his own pawn. All of his skills like shooting, passing, and IQ are amplified, making him a far more dangerous player than before. Not only that, but his flow state is characterized by his adaptability, an ability to adapt to any situation, allowing him to constantly learn and improve his game. Pair that with his incredible Metavision being one of the strongest weapons in the entire verse, and our player becomes unstoppable. Between Izagi and Rin, this really becomes a tough choice. Now, for our third and last candidate, since the prodigy Itoshi Sai has already been selected, that leaves us the next best option, which is none other than Shido Ryusei, former Blue Lock's number 2. During the match between Blue Lock and Japan's U20 team, Shido was the first striker inside the Blue Lock project to achieve and enter flow state. His flow state is characterized by spatial awareness and the ability to perform the Big Bang Drive, a long-range bicycle kick that lands directly in the goal, surprising every player and every fan. Thanks to that, he becomes a pure goal-scoring beast, acting on impulse with explosive speed, power, and precision, making him a massive threat and one of the best flow state players in the entire verse. But besides all that, Izagi and Rin's flow state as well as special abilities still remain a step ahead. So, out of these two prodigies, which one are we picking for our character? Well, this time, I'm gonna go with the Toshi Rin's Destructive Flow State. But if you think we're leaving Izagi out of this video, not a chance. Because after our sports, I've got something special saved up for our special characters. Something that will truly define our ultimate character. So, Izagi, we'll see you up there. Alright, and that's a wrap on football. With the first one out of the way, now we're heading to the skies. It's time for volleyball. But here's the twist. We're only picking players from the pre-time skip version. And unlike football, these traits are tied directly to positions on the court. We've got spiking, blocking, receiving, setting, and serving. Starting off with spiking, the flashiest and deadliest weapon in any offense. For this trait, we've got 3 serious candidates we can choose from. First is Kiyome Sakusa, one of the top 3 aces in Japan. Sakusa is one of the strongest spikers in the entire verse. With a more technical, calculated style, he doesn't just hit hard. Instead, he's able to read any block even before making his move. Not only that, but Sakusa's unique and most outstanding quirk is his abnormally flexible wrists, which can bend until his palms are touching his forearms. This unique technique allows him to add a particular nasty spin, and so making his spikes almost impossible to block. Next up, it's Kotaro Bokuto, Fukurodani's wild card and one of Japan's top 5 aces. His most impressive ability is his technique and accuracy, as he's often seen ripping razor-sharp lines, threading the tiniest gaps, or blasting through blockers with sheer force. His spiking power truly shows during the Mujinazaka match, where he alone helps his team catch up from a 6-point difference, using his spike as the main weapon. Not only that, but he's also known for using the entire length of the court, landing shots on the edge lines with insane accuracy. So I guess we can say Bokuto makes a strong case. But there's one last name we can't ignore, and that is none other than the super ace Wakatoshi Ushijima. His spike, a straight-up left-handed cannon. Ushijima's style is built on raw, overwhelming force, where he can blow right through blocks and receivers like they're not even there. On top of that, he's got the perfect build, tall, explosive, and with a jump that lets him contact the ball from way up high, putting defenders at a serious disadvantage. He can even hang in the air just long enough to time his spike over his blocker's hands. But his real weapon is not his power, height, or even his timing. It's that he's left-handed. That alone allows him to put a weird spin on the ball that throws off blockers who are used to reading right-handed spikes. And with most teams not even ready for such attacks, that's exactly what makes Ushijima so damn dangerous. And so, if we're building the strongest player possible, we gotta have something others don't. Which means, for the spiking traits, I'm going with Ushijima and that ridiculous left-handed cannon. Now, with spiking out of the way, our next trait on the list will be blocking, the wall that stops a team's entire momentum. First up, there's one special character we can't overlook, and that is Nekuma's captain, Kuro Tetsuru. Kuro is a master at pressing at the right angle, disrupting spikers and setting up his team's transition game. Similar to Kei Tsukishima, he's a very skilled read blocker, capable of blocking the spikes from the likes of Bokuto, despite the latter being one of the top 5 spikers in the nation. Kuro's style is all about timing. Instead of jumping towards the spiker, he goes straight up, holding his ground until the last second. This would not only allow him to block spikers taller and stronger than him, but also guide their shots to his receivers. With that being said, even though Kuro is a solid option, there's one blocker who stands a level above, and that is Sachiro Irugami, also known as the Immovable. Unlike instinct-based blockers like Tendu or strategic baiters like Kuro, Irugami never guesses. Instead, he relies purely on fundamentals, like tracking the setter, waiting for the hitter to commit, and executing perfectly timed blocks. As Kamomedai's middle blocker, he's known for his emotional composure and precise technique. Thanks to his mental strength, he can instantly analyze a play and move in to shut down the real threat. As we saw in the match between Kamomedai vs Karasuno, where Kageyama was stunned when Hirugami reacted to their minus tempo attack. Where others crack under pressure, Hirugami thrives, making him the biggest blocking threat on the court. And so, for the blocking traits, even though it's a close bout, I'm going with the immovable Sachiro Irugami. Now, next line on defense will be the receiving traits. And for this one, there's one name that stands out above the rest. And so, the name of that player is none other than Komori Motoya, Japan's best libero at the high school level. Motoya is known for being at a completely different level than the rest. He's a top-tier defensive player who has a superb court awareness, as shown during the All-Japan Youth Camp when he completely removed himself out of the play after receiving the ball, making perfect space for his teammates and Kageyama to attack. On top of that, much like Sakusa, Motoya's specialty is his serve defense. Thanks to the no hesitation on his game, as well as his elite body control, he often returns tough spikes or tricky serves with minimal wasted motion, making him virtually untouchable in the libero position. And so, for the receiving traits, I'll be selecting Komori Motoya, the #1 libero in Japan. I must say, our character might be reaching #1 in Haiku faster than I thought possible. Now it's time for the trait that runs the show, the setting traits. This is where the brain of the team belongs, the one that sets up the ball for the team's attack. For this one, there's 3 outstanding characters we can choose from. First, we got the king of the court and Karasuno setter, Tobio Kageyama. Kageyama is known for his pinpoint accuracy, easily ranking as one of the most accurate setters in the entire nation. Not only that, but he's also one of the most unpredictable setters, with opponents having not only to account for his immense accuracy, but his feints, where he pretends to send the ball to one side only to launch it in the opposite direction. And to add to that unpredictability, it's his surprise attack called the dumped set, where the opponents are expecting a pass, he changes the play at the very last second, turning it into a spike. All of these tools already make him one of the top prodigies in Japan. The crazy part? These aren't even his best weapons. In fact, his most dangerous moves are his minus tempo attack, where he syncs his perfect timing with Hinata speed to pass the ball right into the spiking zone. And of course, his special King's Toss, where he puts so much force and spin into the ball that it travels to the spiker's hitting point with brutal speed. Together, they make Kageyama a nightmare for any defense. Following the king of the court, we have one of the twins, Atsumu Miya. Opposite to Kenma, Atsumu is a very confident and charismatic player who is known for being the best high school setter in Japan. His tosses are said to be incredibly easy to hit, never wavering and never off, and so making the spiker's job a lot easier. Atsumu is also a player ready to give it all for his spikers, always wanting to perform the perfect pass no matter the situation, as you can see during his match against Karasuno. And if that wasn't enough, he's one of the few players capable of replicating Kageyama minus tempo attack. On top of that, Atsumu has a razor-sharp feel for the game. He quickly picks up Kageyama's habits, reads the opponent's defense, and uses bait moves like the dump shot and the dump feint. I think it's fair to say that with his perfect passes, copying abilities, and IQ, Atsumu is right now our leading option. Last but not least, we got Kageyama's teacher, Toru Oikawa, also known as the Great King. Oikawa is a naturally talented setter, and while he doesn't consider himself a genius, he's by far one of the most well-rounded setters in the haiku verse. Thanks to his obsession and hard work, he's able to maximize all the players around him by having his tosses adapt to each teammate's strength and weaknesses. Not only is he the ultimate team setter, but he's also able to read opponents' moves and emotions, picking up on body language and even coded cues during a match, as you can see during his match versus Karasuno, where he figures out Kageyama's attack just from a few subtle cues. And of course, like every great setter, he's got a reliable dump shot in his back pocket. But even with all that, Oikawa is still a level below the other two. And so that leaves us with 2 real contenders for the setting traits. Even though Kageyama might be the ultimate prodigy, right now, Atsumu is the better setter. Which means, for our setting traits, I'm picking Atsumu Miya, Japan's #1 high school setter. And that gets us to our 5th and final trait, serving. Even though it might be the most underestimated weapon in volleyball, serving is by far one of the most important skills a player can have. For this one, we've got 2 elite candidates going head-to-head. The first would have been the one and only Atsumu Miya. But since we just selected him for the setting traits, that leaves us with no choice but to go with the other option, which will be, once again, the Great King Toru Oikawa. Oikawa is feared for his powerful and accurate jump serve, a technique he mastered just by watching it on TV. His serves are so accurate, he can target a weaker defender, hit the space between 2 players, or exploit whatever gap the opponent leaves open. All of this with the intention of landing a service ace. But he's not just about raw power. Oikawa also has a deadly float serve, where he taps the ball with just the right touch to make it wobble mid-air, making it nearly impossible to read or predict where the ball will land. And to top it all off, Oikawa uses his feel for the game, reading the flow and spotting weaknesses to turn every serve into a high-stakes moment. Even when the opponent manages to receive it, the sheer power behind his serve puts any team on the back foot. And with all that, it's clear that Oikawa is the perfect fit for the serving trait. So, without wasting any time, I'm locking in the great king himself, Toru Oikawa. And that wraps up the volleyball sport. Our character is shaping up to be a monster already. But we are not done yet, because now it's time for the final piece of the puzzle. The last sport that could push this creation over the edge. We got basketball, where we'll be picking our players straight from Kuroko no Basket. And just to keep things fair, we're locking out the Jabberwock team. So no Nash Gold and no Jason Silver. Here are our 5 traits for basketball. We got shooting, defense, dribbling, passing, and finally zone abilities. Let's not waste a second. We're kicking things off with our first trait, which will be shooting. Now, for this one, we got some interesting choices to go over. The first character to consider is none other than the ace, Aomine Daiki. As the former ace of the Generation of Miracles, Aomine is one of the most fearsome players in the entire series. He's known for his street-like basketball, where he improvises most of his plays, like dribbling or shooting, instead of following the textbook. He thrives in one-on-one situations, where he performs the most insane crossovers, changing speeds and direction at an absurd rate. But while his speed and agility are absurd, what really makes him terrifying is his shooting. He's known for being unguardable when it comes to shooting, capable of scoring from any angle, under any pressure, and even while falling mid-air, making him a terrifying threat for any opponent. And when in the zone, well, even a triple team might not get the job done. So the question is, can any other character match this? Let's see. Next up, we got another Generation of Miracles player, and that is the shooting phenom, Midorima Shintaro. Where Omine thrives on chaos, Midorima is pure precision. He's feared by his unlimited range, where he mainly shoots threes from any range on the court. From the 3-point line or half court, he's a guaranteed bucket. Thanks to his range and consistent shots, he's one of the biggest threats in the show, with only players like Kagami or Akashi ever managing to even slow him down. But that doesn't end here. In his final Winter Cup match against Rakuten, he unleashes his new technique where he catches and shoots the ball already in midair. When performed with the right teammate, this technique is almost impossible to stop, giving the opponent's defense no chance to even contest the shot. The best part is that Midorima can do all of this for 40 minutes straight, making him a perfect candidate for the shooting trait. And finally, our third and last candidate is none other than the perfect copy, Hisei Ryota. Now, when it comes to pure shooting, Hisei is not quite on the level of Aomine or Midorima, but with his perfect copy active, Hisei can replicate the abilities of every member of the Generation of Miracles. Which means Aomine's unpredictable shot creation, Midorima's full-court 3-pointers, Akashi's Emperor Eye, and even Murasakibara's defensive dominance. All of this in one single body. And so by mimicking both Aomine and Midorima, Hisei becomes a hybrid shooter, combining their creative flair and perfect 3-point accuracy, while also adapting to whatever the matchup demands. But that being said, there is a downside to this technique. The perfect copy only lasts 5 minutes. In a full 40-minute game, I would say that's a major limitation. But during those 5 minutes, Hisei becomes one of the most unstoppable forces in the entire series. With an ability that overpowered, there's no way we're using Kisei this early. So for now, we're saving him for something special later on. So that leaves us with 2 possible choices. And while it's nearly a coin flip, we're going with the unguardable 3-point shooter, Midorima Shintaro. And if you think we're leaving Aomine behind for good, think again. Just like Izagi, his special abilities are being saved for something bigger later in the video. So stick around because the best is still to come. Next up, we've got defense. To build the ultimate basketball player, offense alone isn't enough. We need someone who can lock down any opponent. And for that, there are 2 names that immediately stand out. First, we got the Emperor Akashi Seijiro. Besides being one of the strongest when it comes to dribbling, IQ, and passing, Akashi can even excel in the most unpredictable areas like defending. By using his Emperor Eye technique, he's able to predict the player's movement before they happen in real time, turning every 1v1 into a rigged game of chess. As you can see by the series he stops Kagami's zone attack, Akashi is a deadly threat on defense even against players way bigger and stronger than him. His Emperor Eye is so overpowered that he's the only player capable of stopping Midorima's mid-air shot by completely outplaying both Midorima and Takao and predicting the ball's trajectory. But with that being said, I feel like there's a better suitor for the defense trait, and that is none other than his former teammate Murasakibara Atsushi, the giant of Yosen High. Standing over 2 meters tall, Murasakibara isn't just the tallest member of the Generation of Miracles, he's also known as the most naturally gifted. Thanks to his immense size, he excels at skills like rebounds, blocking, and even dunking. His wingspan and reaction times are the perfect combination, allowing him to stay at the center of action and so being able to block any shot inside the entire 3-point area, making that his entire domain. A 2-meter tall powerhouse with elite agility and reflexes? Good luck finding anyone better than that. And after finally finding his competitive fire in that match against Kagami, let's just say the best defender in the series isn't up for debate. And so, for the defense traits, I'm picking Murasakibara Atsushi, Japan's best center. Now, let's get on over to the next trait, which is the dribbling trait. First character representing this trait is once again the ace Aomine Daiki. Like we mentioned earlier, he's not only unstoppable with his shooting skills, but he also possesses some of the best dribbling skills in the entire verse. He uses street ball techniques like crossovers, hesitations, and spin moves, all executed at impossible speeds to leave the defender behind. Aomine is by far the most wild and creative dribbler in the verse, surpassing even players like Akashi when it comes to that. And when this monster enters the zone, it's better to just stay out of his way. But besides all that, this is still not the moment we'll lock in Aomine. That will be coming later on once we unlock our special traits. So, next up, we've got the only dribbler who can go toe-to-toe with Aomine. That is Akashi Seijiro. Unlike Aomine's flashy and chaotic style, Akashi's dribbling is a refined weapon built around control and calculated moves that manipulate the defender's balance. Thanks to that style, he's what we call an ankle breaker. Not only that, but much like Aomine, he's a natural-born street baller, being able to instinctively perform high-level dribbles fast enough to confuse any defender, making it almost impossible to even steal the ball. And once you add the Emperor Eye to that equation, this becomes next level. Akashi can now read when the defender will reach, how their body is positioned, and exactly where to strike. Which means with Aomine being saved for the special traits, for the dribbling traits, we're going with the Emperor himself, Akashi Seijiro. With 3 traits out of the way, it's time to determine which passing abilities our character will have. And so, for the passing traits, our options are the following. First would have been the Emperor Akashi Seijiro, but since we already locked Akashi for the dribbling traits, we won't be using him here, which means there's only one other player who might be able to match that level. That is none other than the Shadow himself, Kuroko Tetsuya. Unlike the other basketball prodigies, Kuroko's entire game revolves around passing. He's not tall, he's not flashy, and he's not the strongest or fastest on the court. But none of that matters, because when it comes to passing, he's a one-of-a-kind weapon. Thanks to his incredible weak presence on the court, Kuroko uses his misdirection technique, redirecting attention away from himself so opponents completely forget he's even there. This allows him to vanish in plain sight, opening the door for some of the most insane passes we've ever seen. His invisible pass lets him gently redirect the ball, changing its course in a split second. Not only that, but Kuroko also develops one of the best passing techniques in the entire verse, the Ignite Pass Sky, where instead of changing the ball's course, he adds a deadly spin to the ball, making the ball travel so fast that not even Aomine could stop. And if you think that's all, think again, because he's also able to perform the Cyclone Pass, a full-court blast that turns defense into offense in a heartbeat. With all of these techniques in his bag, I think it's pretty obvious who our choice is gonna be. And so, for the passing traits, we're going with Kuroko Tetsuya. Which means it's finally time for the last trait on our list, Zone Abilities. This is where the game breaks past its limits, where instincts take over and where only the strongest can enter. Now, since Akashi has already been selected, we will have to pass on his Emperor Eye this time around. And so, next up, we got Kagami Taiga. Kagami's zone ability is pure athletic dominance. Thanks to his insane jump and his razor-sharp reflexes, he's able to go toe-to-toe with the best scorers and defenders in the entire verse. He first entered the zone during the first round of the Winter Cup when the sheer pressure of Aomine was too much for normal Seren to win against. After that, Kagami turned into a one-man army, going toe-to-toe with Zone Aomine and giving the victory to his zone team. Despite not having a special ability besides his jump, Kagami has by far the best zone feats in the entire show, having been able to beat Aomine and Murasakibara in their respective matches, as well as the Emperor Akashi Seijiro. But with that being said, I'm not gonna pick Kagami just yet, because there's one one final name I've been saving for this exact moment. And that is none other than the perfect copy himself, Hisei Ryota. I mean, was there ever any doubt? Like previously mentioned, Hisei has by far one of the most overpowered abilities in the entire verse. His perfect copy turns him into a perfect player, able to shoot like Midorima, dribble like Aomine, pass like Akashi, and defend like Murasakibara. By combining all of the generation of Miracle's strongest traits and joining them into one single body, Hisei becomes unstoppable for the time being. But when he enters the zone, he's able to combine his perfect copy with his own abilities, massively increasing every trait in his arsenal and easily making him the strongest player on the court. The only real drawback is stamina. But since our character won't have Kisei's stamina traits, I think we won't have to worry about that. And so, for the final trait on the basketball list, I'm picking Hisei Ryota and his perfect copy abilities. And just like that, we've officially built the ultimate sports foundation. But now it's finally time to unlock the part you've all been waiting for. The special traits. The hidden skills for our characters that I've been saving for a reason. Because these aren't tied to just one sport. They're elite skills that every top athlete needs to truly dominate. And so, these are body type, stamina, speed and agility, jump, and IQ. And the players representing each one, well, if you've been paying attention, I already gave you a sneak peek of what's to come. First, for body type, our pick is quite obvious. It's going to be Resku Kunigami. With an incredible physique and strength, as well as being a very tall individual, he's by far the best prospect to represent the body type that can excel in any sport. Next up, for the stamina traits, we got Raichi Jingo, also from the Blue Lock verse. Raichi is known for being a box-to-box player, always attacking, always defending, and never stopping. With an endurance that tops any player in the Neo Eagles League and having the energy to last the entire 90 minutes, yeah, good luck finding anyone better than that. Now we've got to my favorite one on the list. This is the speed and agility trait. As you guys know, there's one specific character I've been saving for this exact moment. Our pick is none other than the ace Aomine Daiki. His ability to accelerate, stop, and explode again is unreal. He's so above the rest that he can blow past an entire team like Seren High purely off his speed and agility. Now, even though there are some elite options like Chigiri from Blue Lock, Aomine's agility puts him over the edge. And for a player having this type of agility will be next level. Next, we have one of our final two traits, the jump trait. Even though it's not the most important trait when it comes to football, it is by far one of the big ones for the other two sports. And so for this trait, we have to go with none other than the jump demon Kagami Taiga. I mean, with a verticality of 56 inches and a hang time compared to pro level, his jump power is easily the best asset for any sport like basketball and volleyball. Which means we have finally reached our final piece of the puzzle and arguably the most important one, and that is IQ. Remember when I said Izagi wasn't done in this video? Yep, you guessed it. This is the perfect trait we've been waiting for. His mind operates on another level, using spatial awareness, prediction, and adaptability like weapons. While most players react to what's in front of them, Izagi is already 3 moves ahead. Now imagine putting that brain into our ultimate player. Not only having the best skills and physical traits, but now with the ability to outthink every opponent. So, there was no other choice other than the prodigy, Izagi Oichi. Which means we can finally enjoy watching our character dominate every sport in the entire anime world. Now, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to click on this one next, where I created a scenario where every Blue Lock's top players switch teams in the Neo Eagles League. Go on!